Hey, true believers, it's Englentine here, and guess what? Mark Waid on his Facebook said that him and DNC already talked, and it just was not productive, so he went and he decided to write his own little essay here, and I'm going to get right to it. Harassment in this industry towards young creators of gender and of color, LGBTQ plus creators, just peaked. I'm sorry, but we're talking to, not harassing, everybody. Something awful has happened and we need to talk. I just got back from Baltimore Comic Con, which was, its usual, one of the best conventions in the nation. Mark Nathan and his crew are courteous, attentive, and most importantly, terrifically sensitive to the safety concerns of some of the creators and fans who feel threatened by the current climate, alleviating their worries. Mark and his team are knights. Cool, so they're protecting fans from people like Mark Waid, who would send his goons out to search for others that may not agree with him. That's very nice. I also applaud Mark Nathan and his crew. Over the past couple of weeks, a disappointingly large number of younger creators have been reaching out to me about harassment from angry fringe fans with that in mind. So right away, we're off to the side. We're not actual fans. They're really trying to paint this. Forget about the fact that we've been reading, or in this case, 40 years. We're on the fringe because we have requested proof of harassment, or we have said we don't like identity politics in comics. And I know there have been some people who've pushed the boundaries on this, and we talk about that. But he is not making any distinction. The best and most worthwhile moments of the convention came from walking the floor, talking and listening, helping raise awareness of how bad harassment has become. Okay, how about talking about comic books? That's one of the things that we are criticizing. Awareness both among fans and among generations of pros. Too many of the latter were still of the, ignore haters, they'll go away school, until I reminded them of the demented armed fan at Phoenix Comic-Con. Ooh, now we're murderers. Now the demented fan was just completely different than what we're talking about. We are actually saying, hey, get identity politics out of our comic books. One way or shape or the other, everything comes right down to that. And he was arrested just before he could assault a guest of the show, until I could share with them confidentially some of the most serious rape threats and death threats. The folks I talked to, many of them with big megaphones, some of them store owners, a couple of them well-intended YouTube commentators, eager to distance themselves from personal attack ones, are all ready to redouble their support to those younger pros who feel unwelcome and are targeted. Let me tell you this, he offers no proof of any of this. However, if I see it, I will also denounce it. Yet, once again, he offers no proof of rape threats, death threats, the fact that he's shown anybody any of this. When I met Mark Waid, he told me he wanted to slap black babies because he hated black people. Now, I have no proof of this. However, you're going to have to trust me because I said it. You know, it just doesn't work that way. No, that didn't actually happen. But point being, if you don't offer up the proof, you could say anything. And he is not painting a good picture of this particular community. Regardless of gender or race or background, we work together on some positive actions we can take in the days and weeks to come. That's no silver bullet, but I've been assured that it's a step forward. Okay, now right here, he is subconsciously setting it up as him and a whole bunch of minorities working together against the all-white, heterosexual, Christian male group that is wanting to harass and say that anybody not white needs to get out of the industry. And to me, that's one of those condescending things. I just can't. I am so amazed how many people really do stomach the condescension. You know, I mean, it would just piss me off to no end to hear him speak like that. And it definitely just washes over the fact that we are a very diverse group, that we just don't want the identity politics in there. But no. So you should be ashamed of yourself, just some guy, you Caucasian bastard. And can somebody tell that rascal Spike to stop using that fake Latino accent? We got you, you white devil, you. At least you speak more Spanish than the little bundle of hate Gabby Rivera. Conversely, and with transparency, Let's talk about my misstep by unartfully making my original post about industry harassment sound as if it all came out of only from 1 or 2 YouTube videos and not also from the repeated misogynistic anti-LGBTQ comments made in private as well as in public. I got thrown by a brilliant bit of opposition judo. I allowed the conversation to be framed as comic creators can't take criticism, or comic creators punch down on innocent fans. I fell into that trap like a total tyro. I didn't do us any favors, and anyone who recognizes that that can glare at me, I deserve it. Well, here's the big problem. He made us, once again, he's saying that it was all misogynistic, anti-LGBTQ comments, not counting the ones that's just about the fact that the comic books these days are horrible, and the identity politics made them that way. Made in private. I would love to know how he got a hold of private messages, because he's assuming that whatever angry messages were done in private as well as public. He's bringing up our private messages. So, yeah, nobody's questioned that, by the way, in his comment section. So he's said he's being allowed to frame this comic creators can't take criticism. Guess what, guys? You know, raise your hand if you're blocked by him. More than likely you are. This is all about this. Because this entire thing is deflection, and he has not yet seen that. So with more clarity, the actual problem, the one that so many younger or career-vulnerable creators keep speaking to me about, isn't YouTube videos that complain about a black girl in an Iron Man armor, or how Marvel did a story that temporarily turned Captain America into a Nazi. They're not the ones that scream in all-cap titles that I'm a sick SJW who's destroying comics with my liberal agenda. Fine. You buy the comics, you have a right to an opinion, obviously. Broadcast your thoughts. It's a free country. Have at. In fact, come at me if you're offended by progressivism. I'm proud to be a progressive writer, and as a freelancer, I can speak freely for myself without fear of being censored or accused of representing a specific publisher. Here's the problem, Marky. You block everybody who disagrees with you. So does everybody else. The one thing comic book creators do not want to hear is a dissenting opinion. That's it. And you're blocked by people you haven't even talked to because they didn't like what DNC said or Captain Cummings said or I said. That's the way they've been doing it. And they're proud of it, too. They are shutting you out because of who you follow. Doesn't matter your opinion on their specific works. And if that's the case, then there are other factors at play. The actual problem is that there's a large number of younger creators, professionals, staffers in the industry, a larger number than you could possibly imagine, who do not have that same privilege. They are being harassed repeatedly, and it's getting worse. Proof, please. As I say, I've been talking with many of them over the last few weeks. These are not histrionic people. These are not overly dramatic people. They are reasonable adults, some of whom cannot speak out because of their employers. Okay, well, that's very interesting. Who are their employers? And yet they are legitimately frightened by harassers who threaten to come and find them at conventions and at stores, at their homes. One was told she would be burned to death. Another was told that she would be put down like a dog, and those are examples of some of the less hateful attacks, some of the lesser hateful attacks. I have screen caps of all of this material. I'm looking at them right now, and they're being dealt with by authorities. But that's where we're at. This is becoming commonplace, and I have reached the end of my patience. So threats of death and burning at the stake are lesser of the threats? How? And by all means, please show us, because I don't think anyone in this community would stand for that. We would be right beside Mark Waid talking to authorities, getting this person arrested, whomever did this, if they actually did this. And that's the big problem. No proof. Here's the thing, though, and I've gotten flack for it, and I've lost views and subscribers by saying that we ourselves need to curb our rhetoric so we don't create this. There's a whole bunch of rational people listening, but there might be somebody who will take things out of context. You know, we all listened to the White Album and thought, hey, that's a beautiful piece of music. But one group of crazies thought it was saying go kill people. And that's the whole thing. You cannot control what others do with the message you put out there. So, yeah, we should also police ourselves, just in case. Not long ago, one of my friends had something terrible happen to them because of all of this, at their request. I can't talk about it right now, it's been a bit, but it was vile and the wound's still fresh. You may choose not to believe me, but I have always been truthful and transparent and straightforward with every one of you every moment of the day over the last 35 years. And you know what, that I have trusted you with my honesty, my thoughts, and now I need you to trust me. When I say that some of these harassers, not people, not YouTube critics, harassers have gone too far. Criticism of the work itself is fine, but no reasonable person would fail to draw the line at direct personal threats and attacks on gender and race and orientation. Please tell me where all of this is happening. All of you would hold that line. I know it. I believe in the people who have believed in me, so I'm asking for your help. Not to mob up. Gotta backtrack that shit, don't you, Marky? Not to attack, not to confront. That does no good, except for you just called for that same thing. I swear to God, the two things I really hate about Mark Waid the most are his face. These harassers, once again, not people, not YouTube commenters, you have to dehumanize so you can allow the violence. Feed on attention, and they need to be starved of attention, which they're doing. They're blocking us from the readers that we need to reach. They need to be drowned out. I'm asking for your help to change the signal-to-noise ratio. Block everybody. That's basically what he's saying here. I'm asking for your help on behalf of the people who need us with no proof from him to do two things. Two simple things. One, show your support. Share this piece far and wide. Comment all day long wherever you can to show those being bullied that we have their backs. And we do. Actually, on this side also, we don't want anybody bullied. And do it tomorrow and the day after and keep doing it. It makes a difference to people who need us. If you reject bigotry, misogyny, and racism, remind others that comics is an inclusive medium made stronger by the voice it amplifies. I think I've said that exact same thing. But I'm going to go one further. Ladies and gentlemen, I did a video. It's called A Letter to Mark Waid and Others Who Attack Comic Book Review YouTube Channels. And I really think that this is a great response. Anytime you see this message that Mark Waid puts on, put this video there. I've been doing it. I know it's kind of self-promotion, but I really do think that it's a great antithesis to what he thinks our message is. 2, please, pro or fan, start championing positivity in comics. Absolutely. Let's actually talk about comics sometimes. Not hate established pros, myself included, have to really start tamping down on instinct to push back on social media, even when the attacks get brutally personal and vicious. We have to rise above. We have to do our part to change the signal-to-noise ratio. Fans, we know we can count on you to spread a positive message. We are a medium of heroes, and there is nothing heroic about causing someone to suffer or standing by and letting it happen. Champion positivity in comics, not hate. Talk about what you love. Try to look beyond that one little title you think we've screwed up, or that one artist whose work repels you. Think about what's happening to real people. Think about how that same hate could so easily turn on friends of yours or on you. There are hundreds and hundreds of comics being published every month, and if your favorite one hits a rough patch, I'm genuinely sorry. I really am. But you know, it'll eventually come around. So take the opportunity to expose yourself to other books, other series you might like. Hell, if nothing else, go read Saga. No one doesn't like Saga. Just tell each other about the wonders you find. And you know what? I myself promote independent books all the time. I would like to say, though, Mark, you should really turn this bit in on yourself and do a little introspective, because you yourself have just spent an inordinate amount of time being hateful towards people who disagree with you. You've made baseless claims. You've spread rumors, conjecture. You haven't had any proof to anything you've said. You paint the opposite side as hateful, misogynist, sexist, racist, when most of us aren't. Can't say all of us because I don't know everybody. But the ones that are vocal, the ones that you call out by name, aren't. And yet, here he is. Oh, and by the way, Saga sucked. Whatever greatness it once enjoyed is just buried beneath the political BS that we've been complaining about. Come on, Abortion Town? Seriously? Oy. Okay, so anyway, maybe you think everything I've said here is overblown, partly because of various investigations in play. I don't have a lot to show you at this time. I can't make you believe me. All I can do is once more remind you that I have always been open and honest with you. No, you haven't, and I will never lie to you. Yes, you will. Harassment to the point where professionals are pulling out of conventions or shying away from anywhere where fans tend to congregate, like Twitter, where they block everybody, is utterly unacceptable. And frustratingly, there will always be some fans who don't take that concern seriously. We live in a cynical time. Empathy's in short supply, but even if you're still skeptical, it doesn't matter. Not if you're a good people. Consider, just as no one has the right to tell us what we do or don't have a right to be angry or frustrated about, no one should be able to tell frightened people that they don't have the right to be afraid. If you're grieving, if you're happy, we can respect your grief or your joy, even if we don't share it, because we have a basic human empathy. By that same measure, we can never belittle the feelings and fears of others just because we don't share them. At best, that's cold. At worst, it just creates more rage and thus makes everything worse for everyone. Yes, Mark, yes, you are absolutely right. Except for you do not practice what you preach. If somebody comes up and says, well, I really hate the identity politics in this book, you call them racist. You don't say, well, maybe you have a point. You just say, oh, well, you don't like them because they're black. You don't like them because Kamala Khan's a Muslim. You don't like them because they're a woman. For fuck's sake. All of this has been in comics for years. And now you're bringing it up. And once again, I say to you this. If it was so bad in the past, why did you do nothing? Why did you do nothing? Because this has been our position all along. Comic books are diverse. So why are you writing these people bad? Check out the comment section in my America videos and see how many people, gay, Latino, are offended by the portrayal. Or how about the fact that women don't need to take their boyfriends' names to be strong? But no, of course not. You can't, because that would change the narrative. That would change the story you're trying to tell, where, man, you guys are just deified and we are vilified. And if you turn any of this inside, if you give 1 second of introspectiveness, you will find out that, yeah, some of us just want to get our point across. No racism, no hatred. He wraps it up by saying, I'm surrounded by a lot of good, concerned people as we work on this, most of whom are smarter and more aware than I am. Not hard to do, judging by this. Together, we're going to do what we can to help tamp down the anger and hate that's hurting us all. If this is something that matters to you, you are more than welcome. Be a part of that conversation. If you just need to speak privately, we will listen. Either way, your voice is valued and we will hear you. Not if you disagree with him. Man, I've left so many messages on this particular post, and he's ignored every one of them. He really has. I put the letter on there. I've mentioned that nobody's against diversity. He will not talk. He is not interested in dialogue. Do not buy that for 1 second. I know for a fact I've lost views and I've lost subscribers because I said we have to police ourselves because they're making a narrative and we don't want to fit it. And I've had people say, well, they're going to say bad things about us anyway. Or, well, they're not taking off the kid gloves. Well, no, of course not. But one, they've got a bigger pulpit. And they've got the readers that we're trying to reach. And two, just because they're going to say things about us anyway does not mean we have to resemble it. And I know I should be going after Mark Waid, and I will. And I have. But we have to make sure that we're not playing into their hands. If they're calling us hateful, if they're calling us sexist, if they're calling us racist, why don't we make it hard for them to prove? That just makes sense. So quit it with the stupid freaking insults. Especially if you're just doing it to get your view counts up. Good Lord in heaven. There are people who have nothing to do with this who are blocked because they like our videos. Think for a freaking minute. Because don't for a fucking second think that Mark Waid has anything other than his own agenda here. There were some replies to his comment there. This guy asks if he would say that it was bad that Mags threatened people with a ball bat. And not once did Mark Waid call Mags out by name. He just did a general, well, violence is bad. Hey, you know what? You called DNC out by name. How about saying, no, look, it's not good. Mags, stop it. He wouldn't do it. Comicsgate is upon us, ladies and gentlemen, and I would not say stop going after him. Hell, I'm doing, what is this up to now, a 20-minute video about it? Go after him, but make sure that you don't make us a bigger target when you do. Because this whole frickin' thing's got me pissed. Well, there you go, kids. That's my opinion on the whole thing. What is yours? Am I right? Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments below. I know I'm right about Mark Waid. There's no doubt about it. That guy is just a douche with an agenda, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care about people on his side, quote unquote, doing the exact same thing he's claiming people on our side do. And we're showing proof. So, you know, I know for a fact that I'm right about that. So tell me in the comments below, am I right or am I wrong to say that we need to police ourselves so we do not resemble what they say we are? So if they say, hey, look, they hate this person, make sure that there's no evidence to that fact. Also, if you did like this video, please click like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything else. Also, head on over to VidMe and Patreon. Drop $1 in the till. Help us keep making videos like this and others. Because Lord knows I want to make some more of the others. I'd like to thank everybody who has already done that, everybody who's thinking about doing that, and to everyone, thank you very, very much for watching.
I don't want to see you go. I don't even want to be there.